Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Law in America, A Short History by Lawrence M. Friedman, narrated by Alan Nebelthau. This book is copyrighted 2002 by Lawrence M. Friedman. This recording is copyrighted 2003 by Recorded Books. Lawrence M. Friedman is Marion Rice Kirkwood Professor of Law at Stanford University. He is the author or editor of 23 books on the American legal system. Professor Friedman is a Fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and the recipient of numerous awards. And now, Law in America.
1. Introduction. At my university, Stanford, I teach a course to undergraduates called Introduction to American Law. On my way to class, on the first day, the class usually meets at 9 o'clock, and it is a tough assignment to keep the students awake, I buy a copy of the Chronicle, the morning newspaper from San Francisco. When I begin the class, after the first few announcements and the like, I wave the paper in front of the class and read some of the headlines. The point I want to get across to the students is that every domestic story in the front part of the newspaper, before you get to the recipes and the comics and the sports pages, has a legal angle, has some connection with the legal system. Of course, I have no control over the newspaper, but the trick never fails. Almost invariably, every story about public life in the United States, or private life, interesting enough to get into the newspaper, will mention a law, a legal proposal, a bill in Congress or in the state legislature, or something a judge, a policeman, a court, a lawyer has done or said, or some statement from the president or other high officials, in any case always about some affair or situation or event done by, with, through, or against the law. In the world we live in, the country we live in, almost nothing has more impact on our lives, nothing is more entangled with our everyday existence than that something we call the law. This is a startling fact, and it gets the students' attention, as it should. Why is it the case that the newspapers are so full of material about the legal system? What makes law so central to American society? Where does all this law come from? Is all of this emphasis on law and legal matters good for the country, or is it a sign of some deep-seated pathology?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?